When in the professional wrestling business, it's understood that sometimes things can go awry. And it's also understood that your coworkers are your family, and causing injury is not something that you should ever do to another family member, especially in the highly dangerous environment that is the pro wrestling ring. But with that being said, it does unfortunately happen from time to time. How many times? Well, a lot. But just a mere 7 of them happen to be the subject of this episode. Because today, Dave knows 7 times wrestlers got hit for real. Okay, let's just start with a fresh one. Brie Bella and Liv Morgan got some unwanted attention after Brie delivered a series of yes kicks to Liv Morgan. Now, these kicks ended up going rogue, as Liv got legitimately kicked, knocking her for a loop. But to her credit, she did continue the match, even getting involved in a suplex spot. However, following this, the backlash was pretty harsh. Much of the internet put the blame on Brie, and it didn't help that this incident occurred not long after Brie was caught dive botching on Raw. But on the other hand, some put the blame on Morgan for putting her head down while taking the move, while others will defend Brie by saying that while in the middle of a match, it's hard to tell if something went wrong. On top of all that, there are also those who were upset that Liv was brought back into the match by her teammates instead of being kept safe away from the action in the first place. Now, with so many people having an opinion on what happened and having an opinion on who deserves the heat or if anyone deserves the heat to begin with, I say that people are ignoring the bigger and more important issue here. That Liv Morgan is okay, which is the most important thing, along with the fact that her beautiful, beautiful face remains just as beautiful as it always has been. Survivor Series 2016, a traditional 5-on-5 Survivor Series match featuring Raw versus SmackDown. And one member of Raw's team, Jericho, had a particularly rough interaction with a member of the SmackDown team, who also happens to be the boss's son, Shane McMahon. As it turns out, Shane gets very excited when he's in a wrestling ring. So excited that when Jericho went to lock up with him, Shane's enthusiasm got the better of him and he went a little overboard, and then he punched Jericho right in the face. For real. Now, Chris would simply shrug this off. Hey, accidents happen, and he would go about the match, only to get punched in the face yet again by Shane. And if you go back and watch this, Jericho then goes to the outside of the ring and has a quick outburst, which is perfectly understandable. Nobody likes getting hit in the face. Then Jericho goes back in the ring, only to get hit yet again. And this is when Jericho decides that enough is enough, and he proceeds to kick Shane right in the chest. Hard. Jericho then tells Shane, and I'm paraphrasing here, to calm down. Many fans never thought they would ever be able to see the day when Daniel Bryan would grace a wrestling ring ever again. But then, one day, it finally happened. Daniel Bryan was cleared to wrestle. After all the trauma his head has sustained, Daniel Bryan had finally been deemed healthy. Which is why it's just so scary to hear that about a month after his return to the ring, he got clocked right in the head. During the Greatest Royal Rumble, Daniel Bryan put on a fantastic showing. He was making his new, safer style work and everything was just going great. That is, until he was suddenly punched in the head by Titus O'Neil, who had just entered the ring. Bryan was completely blindsided by this and was totally enraged by it. And as he regained his composure, he was preparing to exact his well-earned revenge by kicking Titus right in the face. But then, he looked up and he saw the Titantron. He saw them replaying Titus tripping and sliding directly under the ring, and it was then that he decided that he understood. Titus had a really embarrassing thing happen, and well, he suffered enough. D-Bry figured that they were good, and he should probably just let Titus be. Let's go back to WrestleMania 17 and the Gimmick Battle Royal. Bruce Pritchard, aka Brother Love, was set to participate in the match. Then, while talking with Jim Cornette, the two decided that they would both be in it and they would just stay in the corner and keep each other safe. However, during the match itself, that would all change. While selling a strike from Jim Cornette's tennis racket, Pritchard accidentally hit Cornette right in the mouth with his head. Cornette himself also managed to stomp on Pritchard's foot by accident while doing another spot. The two ended up just potatoing each other, that is, until Hillbilly Jim saw this and walked over, grabbed Cornette by the collar, and eliminated him. So in the end, the two old guys that were there just to protect each other so they could leave unscathed, ended up doing anything but. Certain wrestlers have a reputation for being stiff, and then some wrestlers have a reputation for being really stiff. But what happens when two guys with some heavy hands end up throwing down with each other? Well, That's exactly what happened with Ken Shamrock and Big Van Vader. Vader had long been known as one of the toughest guys in the business. He could dish it out, but he could also take it too, which made it all the more surprising when he had to tell Ken Shamrock not once, but twice to lighten up. Shamrock, coming from the world of UFC, was brought into the WWF to represent as a legit fighter, adding a new dimension of toughness to the WWF during the Attitude Era. But he took things just a little bit too far. Shamrock broke Vader's nose, but eventually Vader would have enough, laying out Shamrock with one of the stiffest lariats that many fans will ever see. ECW One Night Stand might just be one of the greatest pay-per-views of all time, at least in my book. However, there is one part of it that stood out to many wrestling fans ever since it happened, and that part is, what exactly happened to the Blue Meanie? Now, in the years that have passed, it has been confirmed as to what transpired. But first, for those of you who don't know, allow me to recap. As One Night Stand was about to wrap up, the ring was filled with ECW talent who had just run a bunch of WWE wrestlers out of the ring. But then, when the cameras cut back to show the ECW wrestlers celebrating, fans at home were surprised to see a bloodied Blue Meanie. Now, apparently, this came as the result of a beating caused by JBL, and for years, what transpired between the two men had remained a total mystery to many fans. But since then, both men have given some clarity as to what happened. Meanie recalls that he was suddenly hit by JBL, who was throwing vicious fists at him. Meanie decided to fight back, and that's when the two were separated. Now, according to Bradshaw, however, he had just been trying to throw some work punches at Meanie, but Meanie was completely unresponsive. So he decided to turn it up just a little bit more in order to get Meanie's attention. And that's when the Meanie went berserk. And so JBL decided he had to defend himself, and he fought back. And it should also be noted that the two have also had a fair share of heated words exchanged before all this went down through some various interviews, which, according to Meanie, all stemmed from way back during the Blue Guy's first run with the company, where it was claimed that JBL was not the nicest of people. And that, of course, plays right into Bradshaw's already well-known reputation as a backstage bully. But it should be also noted that since then, both men apparently have patched things up and have appeared together under friendly terms. And finally, on a July edition of Monday Night Raw in 2015, Seth Rollins had a match against John Cena. At one point, Rollins was hitting Cena with a series of strikes, looking to cap it all off with a high knee to create some separation between the two. But the separation he was looking for wasn't separating Cena's nose from his face, which is what ended up happening. Now, according to one interview, Cena has a tendency to lean into hits, and Rollins allegedly was still unfamiliar with throwing a high knee, and the two did not go over the spot previously. This resulted in a brutal sight to see for anyone who's squeamish about this sort of thing. And also, much to Cena's credit, he did finish the match. Well, there you go, just a few examples of wrestlers taking some unexpected real hits in the WWE. Now, unfortunately, there are many more examples other than just these, so let me know down in the comments of any that you remember. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, Dave knows.